as we all know, it's extremely important for Omar Khan, the Steelers GM, to knock that first-round pick that they have at number 20 overall this year out of the park. But as a lot of us know as well, NFL drafts are won and lost in day 3 of the 2024 NFL draft because of those hidden gems, those needles in the haystacks, diamonds in the haystacks, if you will. And today I'm going to be breaking down some players that I am really a big fan of that are currently outside of the top 100 prospects on the Pro Football Focus Big Board. So day 3 sleepers today for your Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't wait to break it down with you right here on the Steelers Talk YouTube channel. But before we get into it, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you are as pumped for the draft as I am. The Steelers have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. Lots of needs and a lot of intrigue heading into draft week, potentially a Brandon Ayuk trade. Well, I guess we'll have to see on that. But if you guys are just as pumped as I am, get today's show started by clicking that thumbs up icon. So we'll start here with Elandon Carson, cornerback out of Wake Forest, who currently ranks 110th overall on the Pro Football Focus Big Board. And I am a big fan of Carson's game. He's not like it's the super high-end athlete. He's not going to be like super high-end upside guy, but his tape is really clean, and he's got the long arms that you look for, and he's got a good enough physical profile to survive in the National Football League. So I think he's going to be able to come in right away and be a really solid number 2 starting corner for a team. And that's kind of what the Pittsburgh Steelers need, man. You got Joey Porter Jr. on one side as your dominant number 1 lockdown island type cornerback. I mean, what you're looking for now is like that really solid number 2 corner on the outside for the future. And Elandon Carson is somebody that can absolutely get that job done. Now, because he is ranked 110th and people are starting to kind of clue in on Carson's game, you probably have to get him maybe towards the end of round 3 if you want to make him a Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe at pick number 98. But I really do think Carson, if he falls to you in round 4 and you haven't taken a corner yet, I think he'd be an excellent value for the black and gold. Then we get to Hunter Norzad here out of Penn State. A lot of people in Pennsylvania watching this are definitely familiar with Norzad's game. He played both guard and center for the Nittany Lions, and I just love his tenacity, man. He ranks 111th on Pro Football Focus's Big Board, and he has been a steady climber up draft boards throughout this process just because of his tenacity. He plays with great intelligence and toughness, and I love his motor. And honestly, like, he's not that far off, in my opinion, from a guy like Zach Frazier, who also doesn't have the best play strength in the world, who also doesn't have the best athleticism in the world, but they bring really good technique and mentality to the football field every single week. So listen, man, if you like Zach Frazier's game, you are going to love Hunter Norzad, and you can probably get him at a much better cost, probably get him at the end of round 3, potentially even in round 4. Then I'll go to one of my favorite sleepers in this entire class. I actually have him ranked as my number 1 safety in this entire draft class out of Georgia, Tyke Smith. Now, Smith played slot corner mostly for the Bulldogs last year, but he's got 4.4 speed, so he's got the speed to be a free safety if you need. He's got the build at over 200 pounds to play in the box if you need him to do that, and he was one of the best slot defenders in college football this past year with the Georgia Bulldogs, who of course had a great defense. Right now, Pro Football Focus has him ranked 118th overall in their big board, and that is a crime, folks, because he's a great tackler. He plays with fantastic instincts. He reads the eyes of quarterbacks extremely well. He understands coverage rules with all the cover 4 quarters and palms and cover 6 and all this different stuff, the man match coverages that, of course, the Steelers love to run. So if the Steelers are looking for somebody to play the slot, if they're looking for somebody to maybe be a third safety in a 3 safety rotation, if he's there in round 4 or even at the end of round 3, I think Tyke Smith would be an excellent value for the Pittsburgh Steelers to add to their defense. And speaking of defense, how about Mo Kamara, edge rusher out of Colorado State, currently ranked 135th overall in the Pro Football Focus Big Board. And I love Kamara's game, and I think that he reminds me a lot of Shaq Barrett. He's got long arms. He plays with great tenacity, great power, as well, good frame. And I think that, you have TJ Watt, and you have Alex Highsmith, and you have Nick Herbig, who's kind of like a smaller edge rusher in a rotational role. But what happens if TJ or Alex gets hurt? It's like Herbig is too small to be a 3-down player. He's going to get killed against the run. But if you get a guy like Kamara on day 3 if he's available in round 4 as a rotational guy right away. But then if TJ or Alex gets hurt, Kamara can come in and he can survive against the run in the NFL right away. I think this would be an excellent value pick if you're looking to kind of add to the edge rusher ranks here, just like they did with Nick Herbig last year with their first pick on day 3 as well. So I love Kamara's game. He reminds me a lot of Shaq Barrett, and I think he'd make a great Pittsburgh Steeler. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Would you take an edge rusher on day 3 just like they did with Herbig last year? Simply give me a yes or no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or no down there in the comments section. Now, somebody that I'm a big fan of that maybe PFF is a little bit lower on is Cedric Gray, inside linebacker out of North Carolina. Currently ranks 150th overall on the Pro Football Focus Big Board. And listen, if other people are lower on Gray, I am perfectly okay with that. He is the number 4 inside linebacker on my board. And listen, this is a lower value position. You have Patrick Queen, you have Elandon Roberts, and you're hoping Cole Holcomb can come back. But, at the end of the day, we don't know about Holcomb. So if you're going to go target an inside linebacker on day 3, I think Cedric Gray is probably going to be available for you there with one of your 6th round picks. And, I would definitely pull the trigger on that. I think that he brings good athleticism to the table. He's a good, solid tackler. He was asked to do NFL linebacker type things in college, which is something you don't see every day. And I think that he's ready to come in and assume a rotational role and could eventually be a starter for this team moving forward. I believe in him that much. And as somebody you can get on day 3, I think that definitely classifies as a sleeper. Now, if you're going to go get a wide receiver on day 3, the guy that I would love to go get is Jalen Coker out of Holy Cross. A big receiver, 6'3", but he brings some nice quicks and some really nice long speed to the table. I got my hands on Holy Cross film this year. I don't know how, but when I watch this guy play, man, he looks like an NFL starter on film. Still a little bit green, still even a little bit raw, but, you put him with NFL coaching, and I think that you put him in that environment, he's going to bud into potentially a starting capable wide receiver in this league. Pro Football Focus currently ranks him 160th overall, but if he's there in round 6, you haven't taken a wide receiver yet, I think he'd be an excellent value. So coming up next here, more NFL draft sleepers for your Pittsburgh Steelers coming up. But before I get into that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor at Fanatics, and they have the official Steelers draft hats for this year on their website right now. So if you want to be wearing the same hat that all the players the Steelers picked this year are going to be wearing on draft day this year, you can get it right now at chatsports.com/DH24. I'm going to put the link to that in the comments and description, or comments section and description of today's show, guys. Chatsports.com/DH24. If you want to own a piece of Steelers draft history today, all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/DH24. Now let's talk about another corner here. DeCamerion Richardson out of Mississippi State currently ranks 166th on the PFF Big Board. I love Richardson's game because of the high-end flashes you see on his film. Super high-end speed and quicks, long arms. Now, he's undersized at 188 pounds, but he can certainly put on a little bit of weight. And if you're looking to get somebody and you're cool with Dante Jackson as your number 2 corner this year, and then maybe you go out and get somebody in free agency to kind of fill the slot role, and you want to kind of develop a guy, I think Richardson's probably your dude, because the high-end stuff on his film, like his ability to recover and make incredible plays on the football, it's certainly there. Now, he needs to work on his press technique. He needs to work on a lot of stuff, technically speaking, but knowing somebody like Mike Tomlin who believes in getting these toolsy, kind of really naturally talented guys and then coaching them up, I think Richardson is somebody that could be on the Steelers' radar. Then I want to talk about one of my favorite interior offensive linemen in this class, and I think is probably one of the best fits at center for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. Currently ranks 174th on the PFF Big Board, and honestly, he's way higher than that on my board. I think that he's got pretty darn good athleticism, pretty darn good play strength. I think his upside is limited, but I mean, so are other guys like Zach Frazier and Hunter Norzad, right? He plays with good instincts, good technique. I mean, I would trust him to be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting center next year. That's how much I trust Bo Limmer. And if you're getting him at around the 174th overall pick, that's a 6th round pick, folks. I mean, that's an absolute steal. in my opinion. So if you can get a guy like this on day 3, somebody that can play guard and center, we know how much the Steelers love versatile offensive linemen. I think you got to scoop up Bo Limmer from Arkansas. Then I'll go to offensive tackle here, Javon Foster out of Mizzou. Somebody that I think would probably be more of a swing tackle. And, I think if I'm the Steelers, I want to get somebody that probably plays a little bit more of an impact and maybe has a little bit more upside moving forward. So maybe Foster isn't the best fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But overall, he's a sleeper because if you can get a legit offensive tackle that can handle his business on an NFL football field on day 3, 79th overall on the Pro Football Focus Big Board. To me, that's a steal. And if you're looking for somebody to be a swing tackle over the next several years, Javon Foster's probably your guy. And then this is somebody that I'm really excited about here. Safety out of Air Force, Trey Taylor, currently ranks not even the top 200 on the Pro Football Focus Big Board, plays with excellent instincts. I think his athletic profile is really nice for a safety. He's got really good ball skills. And as a slot defender, he blows up screens. Like, I think people are kind of like, oh, he's from Air Force. I guess he's not very good. But you look at his film, and he's flying around. He's making plays all over the place. And I want playmakers on this Steelers defense, all right? So if he's there and say they trade down and they're in the 7th round, or even with your last pick there, 195th overall, and Taylor's still there, I'm taking him because you can add him to the safety rotation, and I think he's going to be somebody that comes in and makes plays, probably going to be somebody that's a really freaking good special teamer as well. So I love Trey Taylor out of Air Force, and I would love the Steelers to draft him this year. Speaking of guys I'd love for the Steelers to draft, Christian Boyd out of northern Iowa here, 220th overall on the Pro Football Focus Big Board, but man, this guy is dominant. I saw this guy live at the Shrine Bowl and at Shrine Bowl practices this year in Frisco, Texas, and let me tell you, man, he was going up against some of the best guards and centers in college football, and he was dominating these people, dominating them. Guys that are going to go in round 3 and 4, even round 2 in the draft this year and going to be first-year starters. He was killing them. All right, so the fact that Pro Football Focus has him this low is an absolute crime to me. If you're looking for somebody to potentially take the reins from Cam Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi moving forward to put alongside Keanu Benton and somebody that's going to come at a value, Christian Boyd is going to be your guy. And if he's there in round 6, the Steelers have to draft Christian Boyd, in my opinion. Now we got a couple more here. Elijah Jones, cornerback out of Boston College. A bit slender, but he had the number 1 Pro Football Focus man coverage grade out of any corner in this draft, period. And he's ranked 225th overall on the Pro Football Focus Big Board. It's like your own grading system put him number 1 in this class in man coverage, and you're putting him this low. That doesn't make sense to me. This guy's a playmaker, and I get that he's slender and he needs to put on some weight. But, day 3, round 6, this guy's still available, and the Steelers love to run man. I'm taking Elijah Jones, man. This guy's an absolute steal. And talking about another corner that could be a steal. Now, Devin Shire out of Pitt definitely could be a bust. It could just be nothing in the league because, on film, his coverage is definitely spotty. But he's aggressive, and he really works hard to get those interceptions, and he gets them. He catches the football when he gets opportunities, and that's something that I know Mike Tomlin is going to appreciate. He had a top 30 visit. Well, actually, a local visit this year, pre-draft local visit with the Steelers. So keep that in mind. If they don't have any of these other sleepers on the board there and they still need a corner, I think Devin Shire would be a good pick at 195. And then we'll go to Garrett Greenfield here, who's not even ranked on the Pro Football Focus Big Board right now, all right? So this guy is really being slept on. But if you watched him at all during the Combine, he completely jumped out of the gym. He had a fantastic profile. Now, the play strength needs to get a little bit better, but his technique is really good. He's got long arms, and I think he plays with good technique, man. So I'm looking at Garrett Greenfield as somebody that can get in round 7. If you trade down at some point and you acquire a 7th-round pick, you're looking for tackle help. I think Greenfield, maybe you don't trust him to be a day 1 starter, but, if he's available in round 7 or even at the end of round 6, and you still need to take a tackle for the future that you hope kind of develops, I think Greenfield's probably your guy. I think this guy's a sleeping giant waiting to be picked there in round 7. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who is a draft sleeper this year that you want the Steelers to go out and draft on day 3 of the draft this year? Let me know down there in the comments section. I want to see all the sleepers you guys got. Is it somebody on my list? Did I miss somebody? Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comments. you want more NFL draft content from me on social media, you can find me at Jack_Sperry. I also post daily Steelers updates, channel updates, all that great stuff. And then also I am at sparedog.football on IG. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.